Hey YouTube, welcome to this tutorial on how to create a flamethrower in Unity3d. This is my third tutorial in this series. The first one I did was on how to make a particle system in Unity, and the second one was on how to fire projectiles in the game world. This one is kind of a combination of the two, so I recommend looking at those tutorials first before looking at this one. Another thing to note is that this project folder that I got, basically most of this stuff came from the first person shooter tutorial provided through Unity3d, so I would also recommend looking at that. Anyway, let's get started with this. First, you'll notice in my scene I have a couple of barrels, first person camera and everything with some weapons and also some small flames. Now if I play this, and if I change, this is going to be our flamethrower weapon. If I hold down the mouse button to shoot, nothing happens, and that's basically because I don't have a script attached to this yet. So I'm going to change that in a second. Also in my scene, you'll notice is small flames. Basically this is just the small flame particle system that is provided through the standard access in Unity. It goes down here, small flames. I made some slight changes to this one though. For one thing, I changed the originally the force was at 5, but I changed that to 0 under particle animator, and also the local velocity under ellipsoid particle emitter I changed the z-axis to 5. Now I did this because we want to shoot our flames from the gun that is attached to our first person shooter, and when the flames come out, I want them to shoot forward, and I want them to shoot forward and go in that same direction no matter which way our player is turning. So to do that, you would manipulate the local velocity. Another thing I added was I added a rigid body. I took the mass down from 1 to 0.01 because basically if our flames shoot, certain objects would move if they have a low enough mass, but basically flames shouldn't be moving anything at all, so I went on ahead and put that all the way down to 0.01. Another thing I added was this flame script right here. Now the flame script is basically just a rocket script from the first person shooter tutorial. I changed the flame so that if I basically manipulate this, I won't affect the rocket script, so that's why I did that. Basically what this does, first off, what this does, when we go in our scene and if we shoot our flames, every time we shoot it creates a clone of itself, and over time, if you keep shooting those flames off, eventually hundreds of clones could be created in the game. This is dangerous because this can heavily affect your gameplay with all those clones just out there not being destroyed. So this script basically destroys all those clones over a period of time, and in this case it destroys them over a period of time of 3 seconds. So that's good. Well, let's add this to get this shooting. Down here I have a flamethrower script. Once again, this is basically the rocket launcher script, but I changed the name again, and I'm going to attach this to the flamethrower. All these weapon scripts are from the first person shooter tutorial, so you can get them from there. So right now I have a flamethrower, and right now I need to attach a projectile to shoot. Now remember the small flames, I added a rigid body, and I did this so that it had physics properties on it, which basically allows it to be shot like a projectile. So we're going to add this in there, and we're going to delete this from our scene. And so if I play and I shoot, nothing is coming out. That is interesting. Well, oh, I didn't attach anything. Not kind of stupid. Oh, that was a prefab of this example flame. So that's the prefab we need to shoot. So that's what I'm talking about. If you don't attach something to that, you won't shoot anything. There we go. You see all those clones? But the script over time destroys those clones, and they only get to a certain amount, like maybe 20, so they never get too big, which is good for us. So that works. But you notice when I shot, these barrels have a script attached to them that allows them to explode, but they didn't, and that's basically because our the example flame that we have doesn't have. In order to do that, you need a particle collider attached to it. Down here is another prefab that I have, which is basically the ready, which is the full flame, and this has a box collider attached to it. Basically, this allows it to come in contact with any other game objects in the world, and allows it to apply damage. For the size of the box collider, I also changed all the variables down to 0, and just did that to help our flames. Because if you add the box collider, our flames will be kind of constricted inside the box collider, so I changed that down. Another thing I added, well, let me just add this to our flamethrower, this flame script. Now, you'll notice in our flame script, of course, we have the script flame attached to it, which is that script I showed you earlier, the rocket script down here. Another thing this does is it not only destroys the game module, but it also allows you to have explosions. So for my explosion, okay, basically, let's say I change this to none. Okay, let me play. When I shoot this, it doesn't do anything, even though I have the script attached. That's because the explosion in here is what actually causes it to explode. Because in the explosion, for the flame, I attach a burning flame, which in my case is basically just another small flame. So I want it so that when the barrel explodes, what's left is another small flame. Attached to the burning flame is an explosion advanced script. This is what really causes the damage to be done. What I've done is I've gone in here and I've changed the explosion radius down to 1. This is so that our player doesn't get damaged when we get too close to the flame, but everything else stays the same. So if I shoot this now, so I have a flamethrower with the flame attached, and I also have burning flame attached to the flame with the explosion script. So what we can do now is we can play this. So we can play this right now, and when we shoot, it causes damage. Just like that. And that's what we want. We want flames that can cause damage. Now, to get our flames looking like this, you kind of have to mess around with the settings. For one thing, what I did under my flame object, I turned off the gravity, and this basically allows, so like if I turn the gravity back on, flames don't look too, they look like they're kind of restricted, and that's because they're restricted by the gravity, because once again they have physics properties added to them like a regular object. So you turn the gravity off. Another thing you can do is you can mess with the settings down here, like change the initial speed. If you want I recommend keeping the initial speed low, because you turn it up too high like this, the flames come out of the gun. You can barely see them come out of the gun because they're coming out so fast. But the lower you do it, like the 10, Now it looks like you can see them coming out more easily. So you can play around with those until you get the type of flames you want. This is probably not the best way to do flamethrower, but it works. There's probably other ways, but anyway, you have a basic idea. So anyway, thanks for watching this tutorial, and hope to see you for the next one.